So now let's start looking at plotting visualization, because the idea of data visualization is to tell stories, and to tell you a picture is worth more than 1,000 words or 1,000 Python scripts. So now within Pandas itself, there is a plotting library with it. I could say df.plots. Yeah, that's a function. You can say, okay, what do I want? My x, for example, x equals to, you call on the column you want. So you could also always do your shift tab to see if you are calling on a method, to see the things that are acceptable inside that method. So you call your your y, then the data from the kind of plots you want to do. So there are different kind of plots you can do. Yes, I can say, okay, I want my x to be my age, my y to be equals to income. Let me plot age per income. So if I do this, what's the okay, income is not this thing, so I have to use the income I created. So you see age, you see the age, so it's just a scattered line plot. So they're different. So this is just I think I need to zoom out a bit. Yeah, so this is different plots. So this just shows you your income like a chart. So they're different. It depends on the story you want to tell. I can say, okay, let me do the same thing, but let me plot it in scattered. So let me just copy this now and say, okay, let me even plot. Rather than doing this, let me plot distance. So now you remember we have kind. So I'll just come and do comma kind equals to scatter. By the time I do this, yeah, you see a scattered plot. So these are some of the things you start thinking as a data analyst. What could this mean? You see, because now I'm already seeing different trends in this data. So it's more like you're analyzing the data. So you see that there's this trend here. There's one trend here. There's another trend here, and you see a different trend here. So as a data scientist, you could start asking yourself, what does those different trends mean? So how do they impact the data I'm working with? So we go into all of this later. I just want to see or things you can do with this. By the time I start explaining Matplotlib, we would explain this better, because now with Matplotlib, I can say, okay, I want to see this trend. Does it relate to anything? I could say, okay, let me plot it based on city. So for example, my city could be a different color, or I could say the sets should be a different color. So you could see, maybe for example, you could say, oh, people within this region, this is where they are trending. So it's just, as the more you see things, the more you carry, the more you ask questions, and the more you want to know, and you start exploring further to see the things you can further do with your data. Those are some of the things you can do. You could also do a bar plot. This is scatter. We've done line, so this is line plot. This is a scatter plot. You could also do a bar plot. So we could do, okay, what can we plot now? Let's do occupation on our X. I want to see versus the income. So I can just come here and do kind equals to bar. So by the time I plot this, you see I'm getting the income based on you see the different people, the different occupation. Doctor, this is the income. So you want to start. Okay, data analyst has the highest pay. You could say, oh, enter. So this just gives you an idea of the different costs. So what you are seeing within your data. Then you could also do a combined plot, for example. So if I do, so if I want to maybe see different charts here, if I do this, for example, I want to call, let's say, what else can I call? Let's say distance. So you see, but it's very tiny because the distance is, so let's maybe create a new column called something else. Let's see, distance divided by, I just want us to see how you can plot multiple columns. So you could say, let me create a new column, average, so maybe something average something, I don't know, whatever that means. So let's say equals to df income divided by, let's say, df distance. So you could do anything you have with your data. You just have to define it and justify whatever you want to do. So I have a new column called average. So by the time I plot this, you'll see the average income basically. So let me multiply by 10, for example, so that it can come up a bit. By the time I plot this, you see the difference. So you could plot different things. You can say, okay, for a doctor, the income is this, the average, whatever, is about this. So it just enables you to see different things together. So plotting your multiple bar plot. So we could also say, let's even plot this using city rather than occupation. Let's use city. Let's see which city has the highest income. Basically, the highest income is about this. So Paris, people working in Paris, they earn the highest income. So you're answering question, you're just getting everything is. So there are no rules to this is what you have to do. This is kind of plot you want to do. Depends on what do you want to see. Will give you an idea of what you want to plot. So another thing I could, okay, let's see what we can do with age column. Let's see what's age, what's the data type in age. Dtype is a string and I want my age to be a column. So what I can do is just to change this, you could do df age equals to, so it's what we call pandas to pd to dot to numeric. Yeah, so it's like converting that column to numeric, because if we do dot as type to integer, because we have some non-values, this wouldn't work for it. So that's why I'm using this instead, so that we don't get that errors equals to, so you use chorus. So you could just read up anything you don't. Sometimes you see some arguments basically. So for example, let me do this. You see what this to numeric does. You see the argument you can pass to it. So if you have time, you could just go through and see. Yeah, would be none. So if anything that's invalid would be none. So that's why we're using this chorus. So just go read. If you don't understand what you need to do with something or what something means, just do your shift and your tab. You see this and you can read up the documentation to understand what that does. So by the time I run this and I run this back, you see that this has been changed to a float. So we have our age as floats. Basically, then we could start also doing, let's plot what we call histogram. Let's see the distribution of our age column, df age dot plots. Yeah, so you do your kind equals to east equals to basically. So you see your distribution of the age, you see where things are concentrated.